you want to go.
You see the person?
Yeah, you see the person.
Okay.
I think we're going live now.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you guys. I can see you're having some nice chit chat moment going on. Once again, sorry about the delay.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we're in now, Tolu.
Great. Okay, I'll just make my video.
Yes, we are in now. Good evening, precious family. It's been a while. So we're back this week on Inspirational Moment. Today we've got Adenike Adeyemi. I know you've seen our flyers, you've seen the video jingle that we posted, if you've been following our page. And it's it's always amazing when we bring all these guests on, and you know that we've never brought anyone on that has not dropped one or two nuggets that's helped shaped us or shaped the community. So today we got Adenike Adeyemi, and as usual, I've got Tolu, and Tolu will be doing the honors of introducing our guest.
Hi everyone. Hi. Thanks for joining this evening. And if you're watching on replay, do hashtag replay for us to know that you did watch this. Sorry, we're starting a bit late, tech issues. Just keep praying for us that we'll overcome our tech issues 2022. And it will be tech issues free. So it's great to be here again today. And like Liz rightfully said, we have an amazing guest with us today. We're always trying to get you guys, fantastic people who are doing great things out there in the world and the community. And so who are we? Why are we doing this? I'll start with a little bit of a background just for the guest and for people that are watching us for the first time. Inspirational Moment is a platform that's owned by Precious Pearl Charity. Precious Pearl does a host of things and has lots of projects that we handle. Inspirational Moments is the platform that we use to connect to the community. We do this via Facebook, YouTube, where we come and meet with you guys, we chit chat with you guys, we let you know what's going on with us and try to inspire you guys, as well as ourselves by bringing on people in the community that are doing great things. And so we have some amazing people that are coming on this year, 2022. We're starting the year off with this amazing lady. When I was told about her and I checked her out on LinkedIn, I was like, yes, we really must bring her on board. To let us know a bit about what she's doing and to help us get started in the year 2022. So like I always do, I'll just give you a little bit of a background. I'll read a profile from LinkedIn about Adenike Adeyemi. I know you can read this on LinkedIn too. It's a little bit lazy of me, but just bear with me. So who's she? Who's Adenike Adeyemi? She's an innovative thought leader with 20 years experience in strategic planning and institutional transformation in the non-profit, private and public sector space. As the head of Nigeria's foremost business incubator, she leads the fulfillment of Faith Foundation's mission to enable aspiring and emerging Nigerian entrepreneurs start, grow and scale their businesses, and has led the development of 13 research reports on the Nigerian entrepreneurship ecosystem and also 9 books for Nigerian entrepreneurs. Through digital transformation and key partnerships, Adenike has led the dynamic Faith team to launch the signature incubator and accelerator programs and has reached 27 states and 187,000 entrepreneurs. It's almost 200,000 people. It's like 1/5 of a million just to get it in, to get you really thinking about the numbers. Through digital I've said that. She is also 2020 Eisenhower Global Women's Leader and also serves on various boards, including the Youth Business International Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry at Budget. I hope I called that right. She's also the lead facilitator of the NESG MSME Community of Practice and has served on the LSETF MSME Recovery Fund 1.0 and 2.0. So you can reread that and go on her LinkedIn profile to see more about what she's doing, and also Faith Foundation has a LinkedIn profile as well, so you guys can catch up on that. So we can't wait to get into the questions and learn a bit about what she's doing. I have, some exciting questions. Liz has a host of questions that she has prepared and prepped, and we just can't wait to dive in. So over to you, Liz.
Thanks, Tolu, for the wonderful introduction of our guest. Welcome, Adenike. And, from your profile in LinkedIn that Tolu just shared with us, one of the things that came up was Faith Foundation. So can you tell us about yourself and how Faith Foundation came to be?
So thank you. Thank you very much for that first question. I have to first of all say thank you to you for interviewing me, to Tolu and the Precious Pearls team for the invitation. A very shout out to my friend Tosin, who also helped to facilitate this. I'm honored to be here and to share with you from my experience, and also honored by those who are spending their time to watch this live session, both during and also after. So your question was I should talk about myself and Faith Foundation.
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, I'll be happy to. So I will probably start with myself. So I left school. I left University of Ibadan undergrad 2001, and since then, over the last 20 years thereabout, I've largely worked on causes and initiatives that have a social entrepreneurship perspective. So working with people in organizations that are looking to make impact, but in a sustainable way. For the first probably about 6 to 7 years, a lot of it was around things in the education space, around leadership, and around youth development. And then I joined Faith Foundation in 2015. And since then, my passion has really been supporting aspiring and emerging Nigerian entrepreneurs to start, grow, and scale their businesses. Faith Foundation was founded 22 years ago, founded by Mr. Fola Adiola, who's the founder of GT Bank. And the idea we bring really is to have a platform, whether a virtual platform or physical platform, where people with a minimum of an idea. So when people come to Faith, they either have a minimum of a business idea of something they want to do, or they've established their business. And what we do is really to provide a platform where they can get access to knowledge on growing their businesses. They can get access to information, resources, tools that they need. They can get access to support. So support like mentoring, consulting, advisory, or funding or market linkages. And if you think about it, when Faith started, now a lot of people are in entrepreneurship. I know at the time Faith started, even when you're thinking of universities, when they invite keynote speakers to speak, nobody will invite an entrepreneur. We will typically just invite the CEO of an oil company or a bank or a lawyer or a doctor. But now, even with the traditional professions like doctor, lawyer, everybody's been encouraged to have an entrepreneurial hat and thinking. And we honestly were really one of the first to really provide the opportunities for people to be able to do that and think entrepreneurially. And part of the things that drives me is that, so even I didn't found Faith, right? But I'm leading it. But I put on an entrepreneurial hat in leading the work that we do. And even the team also put in an entrepreneurial hat. And I'll be happy to speak about that, what that means for people who you're encouraging to have entrepreneurial hats without necessarily also founding, or starting their own businesses. So that's who I am. That's what I do. When I'm not working, I enjoy reading. I enjoy traveling. Lately, because there's a lot of work, I enjoy sleeping. I just working. Sometimes it's just nice to just not have anything that burdens your mind. But I'm excited about people. I love meeting people. I love learning about places, new experience. I love eating too, by the way. So yes, thank you.
But to be honest, this week I've been emphasizing so much on the post on inspirational moment about resting, taking time out to just breathe, taking time out to just, you might be just staring in space, doing absolutely nothing, or just having a lay down and do nothing. So I totally get it. I think we're at that stage that we need to do that, or else our mental health will be compromised. So
you're so right, because if you even think about, I was reflecting over the last 3 months and I said there's just so many things I'm doing. So I'm also assuming that most of the people on your platform are women. So women traditionally also take on a lot of things to do at the same time. So we're, as they say, we're multitaskers. I don't know if that is innate to us being women from a chromosome or gender or whatever perspective, or when we grow, as we're growing up, people just say, you're a woman, you can't just sit down and do anything. So you're taught to take
To
care of
always
the
be
household,
busy.
take care of siblings, all of that.
Yeah.
But then with the pandemic, you also juggle. I think that we then juggled or started to juggle like double of the things. And sometimes I got to a point where I said that even I'm not resting mentally. Even when you're supposed to be sleeping, your mind is just busy jumping all over the place. And you're very right. There's a place of rest. There's a place where you just need to pause. If you even think about it, right, it's almost like the restoration. There's a reason why the body, when scientists talk about the sleep, they'll tell you that the most times during the day when a body restores itself, when a mind restores itself, is when it goes to sleep. Cells regenerate and all of that. And even as women, whatever we're doing, sometimes you literally have to take a step, stop, pause, wait for you to refresh. Sometimes we give so much of ourselves that there's nothing else, and you almost have to regenerate. And then the effect on the mental health, you just realize that, you're just stressed, you're just overwhelmed. I live in Nigeria. Living in Nigeria is even more, the environment just overwhelms you, and before you realize, you're also carrying the burden of sort of like the concerns that you have. So you're very right. We honestly have to be intentional about that. And simple examples for me that I do now is, I noticed like last year, and then 2020, when we started working virtually, you just pack meetings 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, you're just talking and all of that. And then, yes, and I said that wasn't the case in 2019. If you had a meeting, and particularly a lot of our meetings were in person, the journey time, you put it there and all of that. So one of the things that I've done, even in my calendar, is I will put time for lunch. I reduce meetings now to 40 minutes, 30 or 40. So meetings that I'll normally put in an hour, I'll put 30 minutes, 40 minutes, because honestly, most of that conversations can happen in a short time. Have a transition time in between. So again, we also have to use technology to our help. You almost have to detail out and say, it's not just when you do like an action point for the day. It's not just about saying, oh, I'm going to do this, but put in, I'm going to call my dad, call my mom, I'm going to eat. You have to you literally have to plan for that like you would anything.
Any other thing. That's true. So, going back to Faith Foundation, I like the way you said that you found Faith. It's not like you were looking for it, but you found it and you started working with it and running with that vision. So is this just limited to Nigeria or to Africa, or anyone in the world can actually, use Faith to actually start their business up?
So that's a good question, and we get asked that question a lot. So for the main part, particularly in terms of our programs that fall into our incubator, accelerator, growth support programs, they're targeted at people based in Nigeria. And I'll tell you why. Nigeria is such a huge country. Nigeria has, as at the last count, about 40 something million micro, small, and medium enterprises.
Wow.
Lagos in itself has a lot of SMEs who are running. And so one of the things we've been very deliberate about is that, yes, there's a continent-wide reason for what we do, but let us focus on the country. Let us have the country indigenous knowledge and apply that. I'll even give you another reason why, because even when you say, oh, entrepreneurs across Nigeria, there's a program we've run every year since 2000. It's a pre-incubator program called the Aspiring Entrepreneurs Program. And it's for people who are thinking of starting their business or have started but did not put proper structures in place, or are running the business from the boot of their car and all of that. And we have people from those who are just getting into entrepreneurship to those who maybe have worked for 10 to 15 years and then maybe they have a passion and want to leave paid employment and really start to work. We've done that program we are now in our 107th stream since 2000. Wow. So, but that same program, we've run it across almost 20 states now. I can tell you that what we've seen is that the way entrepreneurial spirit and perspective and passion and even interest in this learning is different in Lagos, from Kaduna, from Ibom. So there are things that are consistent and are Nigerian, but there's so much locational dynamics that even we have to almost sort of do an understanding of the space that we're in. We know before we go and we launch a program in a new state or in a state, you want to speak with people on the ground, get a sense of the pulse for entrepreneurship and all of that. So I find that dynamism very different. And that's one of the reasons why we're very hesitant to do it outside Nigeria. Because I always say, if I'm going to my mom is half Sierra Leonean. So one of my cousins on that side would say, come and bring this your program. I'm like, no, we have to understand the Sierra Leonean environment and culture and all of that, because it's important to be able to provide the efficient support. However, our resources are available to people that are outside. So even if we would not accept you to enroll in our formal programs, we have platforms like our msmehub.org that has free resources. I'll type it on the chat screen, msmehub.org. It's a free resource for anything, tools, templates, videos on developing a business plan, developing a business model canvas, doing your tax. And that's the kind of resources we have are made by Nigerians for Nigerians. So I'll give you an example. Okay. Sometimes you say, okay, one of the issues people sometimes have when they start to grow is managing talent, hiring people and all of that. If you go online, how do I retain staff, for instance, you'll find a lot of things, right? Across the world, the UK, US, everybody has written about that. But there's certain dynamics that are peculiar to Nigeria. If we even think of a lot of our SMEs in Nigeria, they usually typically would work with people who are not necessarily, even if they're literate, most of the times they're usually like secondary school literate and all of that. So you have things like identity issues. When you're abroad, if you're in the UK, they'll say, okay, make sure, conduct a background check, get their social security number, all of that. The people you're hiring in Nigeria, they don't have that. We don't have unique identifier IDs. And so one of the things we've done on msmehub.org is to say, okay, if I'm hiring low-skilled staff or semi-literate staff, how do I conduct background checks, understanding the dynamics of the environment? How do I retain? How do I attract? How do I hire people? How do I manage? Sometimes you're hiring people that they're not digitally, they're not computer literate. So they can't even fill a form and all of that. So how do you do this? So that's our platform is available there. There's some books we also just recently published also that are available to people. So our full-time programs, totally Nigerian, but our resources, our tools, our publications, they're available for people within and outside the country.
Oh, thank you so much. Tolu, please, can you put the site in the comment section as well so people can actually visit that if they need to? And while you were talking, you mentioned about your incubator and accelerator programs that you run. What is that?
Okay. So if you think of an incubator, what does an incubator, when you hear an incubator, it's a baby that was born much earlier than the authority of the gestation period. So maybe like pre-36 weeks or something, depending on what it is. And then the baby goes into an incubator because that fetus at that point cannot survive on its own. It needs oxygen, it needs controlled environment, it needs fluids, it needs all of that. So that's what our incubator program does. Somebody has a great idea, putting them and supporting them through a 6-month program that says, we're going to move you from one stage to the other. So if you think the way we identify stages in business development is first you have an idea. So if you come in with an idea, we'll take you through an ideation stage that now helps you to translate that idea into an identifiable product or service that you can test in the market. Okay. So I'm going to use a lot of examples. So for instance, you have an idea of making juice, just like, I like juice, I like juicing, all of that. So when you come in, what would your juice be? What are the kind of juice products you would probably think of? What would it look like? What would the packaging look like? And then move you from just having that an idea to having a product that you test. Now, some people come to us with already having that product, right? They've already started to do it in the kitchen. They have plastic bottles, they've printed out some labels and all of that. What we then move you is then to market testing. So again, at whatever stage you are, is moving you to at least the next level.
Next stage.
So market testing, exactly. The market testing is then saying, what type of juices do people like? What are the combinations? What is the packaging? What are the other people in the market pushing at? How do I price? How do I cost? And so once you've moved to market testing and now said, okay, we see people like it, they like this or they don't like this, let's refine it and all of that, which is really then saying you are now moving to like a minimum viable product, that you have a product or a service that shows potential of being viable. They're paying cost, they're customers who are willing and able to pay. And those things are very different. So you can have customers who are willing. Oh, I like this. Sometimes you go online, you like a dress, and then you check the price tag. It's $500 or $100. So, and then you're like, I don't have the ability to pay, but I like it. So there's willingness in looking at MVP. You're saying, and identify your target customer. You're saying, let me get customers that are willing, and then they have the ability to pay. So once we also support you through that progress, the next stage is then to now push the products into the market and also structure your business. A lot of the challenges we see, and I would say for women, but it's getting better now, it's definitely much better, is that a lot of it is very informal. And sometimes when people think of informal businesses, they think of women selling pepper by the side of bread. Say, no, that's not it. Informal businesses is you not putting a structure and framework around your business. So one of the things we were talking about before the live stream started was you talked about your work around providing governance. What are the standards? What are the things that have to be in place? So for us, simple things in terms of encouragement. Yes, you have a product, but then you have to now put a business behind that product. At a minimum, you register that business. And particularly in environments like Nigeria, I also know that a lot of people we're speaking to are outside of the country. So I'll make sure that I balance that. You want to be able to encourage that person to register and formalize their business. And I feel that when you formalize your business, it makes you put a much more serious hat on. A lot of times people we've seen, which we try to reiterate in the incubator program, is that people don't want to formalize the business because you feel like I don't want to pay tax and all of that. But if you understand the tax system, you have so much opportunities to even take advantage of, and then people take you serious. So part of what we do is also helping people formalize their business, ensure their businesses are registered, ensure they have a corporate account that is separate from their personal account, and they start to push this in the market. So if we then get somebody who is already at that stage, we're then now saying, how do we ensure and support that business to start to generate revenue that can cover their own costs? So if I'm leading a business and I'm now doing this thing full time, I want to be able to start to generate revenue that can start to cover a lot of, my expenses as the person leading the business, and then also start to employ 1, 2, 3 other people, because the indicators of business growth for us are revenue generation. So it's not just about having product or service, but really getting that person to the point where they start to sell it and generate revenue, and they retain, they qualify as the first employee of the business, and then start to bring in other people. So I know that was a long-winded way of responding to your question, but it was important.
Well, it's good to see the steps. So in summary, it's like taking people through the stages of building, planning and building their business.
Exactly. So that's for the incubator program. And if you even think of an incubator, some babies going through an incubator as early as 26 weeks, some just like 32 weeks, 34 weeks and all of that. So the needs are different. The accelerator is then the much more advanced stage. For us, our accelerator is that there's high growth potential. So this business has already started to sell products and services. And the entrepreneur, we recognize that entrepreneur has a business that with intentional support, with funding, with guidance, with venturing, that business can have like more 10 times, 20 times, 30 times growth in the next 2 to 3 years. So it's really what it says is that we really just accelerate the growth. And for accelerators, we do that on a sector specific basis, because when you get to a certain point, even from early on, but more importantly, as you start to grow, your needs are very sector specific. So for instance, if you run a food packaging business, the challenges you have around production, food safety, regulatory things around, like in Nigeria, NAFDAC, SON, you know, abroad, FDA, and all of those things. Or you're in a business that is an export space, you start to think about standardization, quality assurance, you know, what are export licensing and everything. So we do that on a much more sectoral perspective for our accelerator programs.
Yeah. Wow.
Wait, sorry, Liz, I just wanted to jump in there. This is awesome. I wonder if people know about this, because this is so organized. And you know, when we talk a lot about Nigeria, and we know that we tend to talk in the negative a lot, like, oh, things are not working and blah, blah, blah. So to know that there's actually structured programs like this that, you know, available for entrepreneurs out there, I wonder if people know about you as much, because I feel like every entrepreneur should. Because as a business person myself, an entrepreneur, I understand the importance of everything that you've talked about, you know, and how it's very valid to have the structure in place to have a business that grows and flourishes. So like, I'm wondering, what do people know a lot about you, and how are you letting people know about you? And also, there's something about the name, if I remember, that's got digital in it. Is it a digitalized platform? How does it work?
So thank you, Tolu. Do people know about us? I think a lot of people know about us, but then we need more and more people to know about us, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so there's never an end to just ensuring that people have an idea to the programs that we do. And a number of our programs, so about 70% of our programs are actually free. Because we have partners and sponsors that provide us the grant funding, because we're a non-profit organization, so a charity, provide us grants that then allow us to do those programs for free. And one of that is the ones you touched on, which is the Aspiring Entrepreneurs program, the Aspiring Entrepreneurs Digital. So our AEP Digital program it's a combination of the program that I said we've been running since 2000, and we're in our 107th stream, and a very strong digital strategy component. So what we did was we combined our business SME management development, you know, starting the business curriculum. And then we took a lot of how do you then take advantages of Facebook for business, Instagram for business, WhatsApp for business, particularly in countries like ours, where WhatsApp is really just a major tool for communication and engagement. We are live streaming on Facebook, right? Before, people like you and myself, if you didn't have a big budget, if you were not a telecom bank or large corporate, you didn't have a budget to reach people. And that's what Facebook does: democratize access, easy, down barriers, so I can talk to people anywhere in the world. But more often than not, these platforms, and as the platforms continue to develop and evolve, there's a certain level of rigor and knowledge and, you know, just even use of it. So you're live streaming, you've done it over and over again. For somebody, it's a problem, because if you don't get to that. So what the AEP Digital does, it's first of all provides you a view of helping you to develop and define your digital marketing strategy. To say you have a market strategy, there's a virtual audience, what are the different types of platforms? So what are the different types of digital technology needs you have? The first obvious one is marketing, right? So marketing usually will be like a Facebook for business, Instagram for business, Google My Business. So platforms where you can put your business and then have people, first of all, know about your business, know about your products and service, and probably able to initiate and conclude transactions. So with a Facebook marketplace, for instance, you can list your business and all of that. I've also seen on WhatsApp where if you have a WhatsApp for business, you can put a catalog. So there are a few things that are bought using my WhatsApp for business. Hello, am I still here? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, you're still on.
You can have a catalog on your WhatsApp for business account, and people can go through it. So, and I know that a lot of these platforms, what they're also doing is also trying to include payments systems, right? Payment channels, so our payment wallet, so that if I pick something from your store, I can even pay for it without having to send me your bank account number and all of that. So that's that. But then what we also do is also to say that they're also the tools, oftentimes free or significantly subsidized, to help you with your operation. So to help you with your financial management, people management, invoicing, payment. So a lot of people, for instance, don't know about a tool like Wave, where, somebody makes an order, it allows you to generate an invoice, send to the person, but also because the tool is efficient itself, also allows you to have a record of your transactions. So you can say, okay, that the transactions that I've made. So there are things that help you with your operations and all of that. Part of it is also saying that, there's so many platforms that allow people to even develop web platforms for free. So you have like a Wix, for instance, where you can just develop an easy web page. And, when you get to the point where you can pay for a web developer, you can do that. But, you can also do that for free. And then I get the fourth part will be like email marketing. So understanding tools like MailChimp, that allows you to be able to do email markets, reach out to people, or even e-commerce platforms, really showcasing to people all the various e-commerce platforms, their pros, their cons. And again, I think that that's one of the great things about running a business now. There are quite a lot of tools, opportunities, and resources for you that never existed before. So for instance, thinking of e-commerce, I know a lot of our businesses at Faith, showcase their products and services on Flutterwave Store, Playstack Store. It costs nothing. You set up the store, put your pictures there. In fact, some of these platforms even have like delivery linkages to that. Delivery is still an issue in Nigeria, at least, but it's at least it's better. You don't have to have your physical store or for your products to just be on Instagram. It can be in a lot of places. So so yes, we're trying to make sure that more and more people know about us and the programs that we do. To be honest, we can only take in a certain number of participants per year into our programs, and we're trying to make sure that we continue to expand that. But our digital aspect of it is also saying that how do we empower small and growing business entrepreneurs with digital knowledge and tools to be able to get to the face of their customers, sell their products and services, generate revenue, and grow their business.
Oh, I wish people would just listen to this and also click on the link that, as she's giving us the link, as she's giving us the expo, we'll be putting them in the comment section. And just click on it and read, I found out that there's so many things you can do once you dedicate, time to actually learn, read so many things, and it actually helps to expand your horizon. You're not stuck in one particular way of doing things.
There's so much information online. There's nothing I want to do right now. Even simple troubleshooting, if I'm having a problem setting up a Zoom meeting, the first I'll go to Google. Somebody has asked any question you have, any question anybody has, somebody, in fact, usually like 100 people have asked that question.
That's
and
true.
Some way or the other, you will see it, and you just go and just find YouTube videos. I'm like, some people just.
I had a light come on my dashboard in my car, and I didn't know what it was. I went on Google. I was particular about that light, looking for that shape, put it in, and it told me what to do. So I did it. I said, if it doesn't rectify, then you can take it to the mechanics. Exactly. But I did that and actually rectified the issue. There's nothing you
and
to
the point, another challenge I want to give those who are running businesses here is that you must be a thought leader in your business. Even if you're running a t-shirt business, I must come to you and understand that you have a good sense of, what t-shirts are, the brands, the type, the fabric, the sewing, anything you do, baking, know that business as best you can, end to end to end to end. There's so much information. If one of the things that I always tell any business, I'm like, go online and find somebody that is doing that, and I'll say outside of Nigeria, so don't beyond Nigeria. You're running a specialty baking business, for instance, or a clothing store, hair, or whatever. You will find somebody in similar market, Brazil, India, South Africa, who is also doing that, because there's and the way you're doing that and putting it out, eventually people would also be learning from you. And sometimes we say, oh, we don't want to share knowledge, we don't want to share information because of that. I'm like, no, if you don't share, when you share knowledge, you grow. There's no class that I want to teach. In fact, sometimes I hate when I'm not teaching for like a month because I feel my knowledge drops. Even the classes I've taught in Faith literally since 2015. But I can tell you, every time I step back and prepare for that class, I learn a new thing. Learn a new thing. So I encourage you to seek for knowledge in anything you're doing. try to understand your space, try to share knowledge and information in space. And as you share that, do your research, learn more. You'll be so amazed about how you're empowering yourself, how you're improving yourself, how you're growing, and how you talked about even refueling yourself later, how you're also refueling. And I find sometimes that is in that space that you find inspiration. You find inspiration, knowledge, Sometimes you'll be learning something, you go and sleep at night, and then like 4 o'clock, something just drops in your head, and it just inspires and ignites some spark in a challenge that maybe you knew you had or you didn't even know you had.
Yeah, thank you so much. So when we actually set up this inspirational moment, we said we were going to be talking about SMART goals. But before I even go into that, we are towards the end of February now. So we'll be going into March. I said something to Tolu. I said, it's never too late to actually replan. I said, yeah, you might have a plan at the beginning of the year, but I find out something for every person that I know that set up goals, wherever, there's a point that you have to recheck. Am I still on track? So before we even start branding around this word SMART goals, what are SMART goals, for example, and how do we set them up?
Okay, so I had to try to remember what SMART is. So SMART goals, I was trying to read out the acronym. So SMART is used for a term to say when you're setting goals, you have to be very specific about the goal. So when you're trying to set a goal, we'll talk about how. Make sure that the goals that you're setting are very specific, So it's not just saying, oh, I want to be trained this year. Training in what? Training in improving my presentation skills, public speaking skills, and all of that. So very specific. So define what I want to start a business in what kind of business. Even if you don't know the exact type of business, you're saying, okay, I want by the end of this year to have been able to, get a business off the ground, get a product or service and all of that. So just being very specific. M is that it has to be measurable. So remember, it has to be measurable. You have to be able to quantify it. What will it look like at the end of the day? It also has to be achievable. There's no point setting something that that you can't, you can't deliver, you can't achieve and all of that. It has to be realistic. It has to make sense, and it has to be smart and time bound. So a good example will be that, by the end of this year, so that's time bound, I want to have been able to have done 10 hours of training in public speaking. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's time bound. Achievability is then now looking at, what works and what. So I may spend 10 hours, but honestly, maybe it's only 2 hours I'll be able to do. So we have to look and say, okay, it's great to have a high and lofty goal, but what really can I get to doing? So that's a lot of times that's really just what is setting a SMART goal. The advice I will give, which is lessons I've learned for myself, sometimes even before we even look at goals for the year, a lot of us keep to-do lists. And I will tell you my example. Last year, I just realized that I will go and put in 100 things on the to-do. Now, I'm the kind of person that gets off on ticking. So I like, do this period. I like when I just tick. I like, it gives me so much joy with that. But somehow in the last 2 to 3 years, and I think COVID also added to that, and just really increasing work expectation, I would never, in fact, even in 1 week, the goal I set for one day, I won't even finish it. So what I also realized was that I needed to start prioritizing. So on a day-to-day basis, before we even go into setting year goals, how are you also setting goals for yourself? Do you understand? In a year, and I feel that we need to actually sit down in that goal setting process on a day-to-day basis or on a weekly basis. Sunday evenings, sit down and say, okay, Monday to Saturday, how do I want the week to go? And the goals should not be only about work or your business or the work that you're doing. They should be personal goals. They should be spiritual goals. They should be goals also around you as a person. Sometimes we're mothers, we're wives, we're daughters, we're sisters, we're friends. Everybody demands a lot of us, and you just realize that a week has passed, you've not done what you wanted to do. Somebody's upset with you because you didn't do something, you didn't call, you didn't do that, and then you just go. So I find that prioritizing and then pacing out is also important. Even when we set goals for like a week or something, I find that it's important to have blocks of times and say, okay, I may not be able to pray 1 hour, and I'm just being very realistic. I actually may not be able to pray 1 hour every day for every week. What is the goal I want to set? I want to have deep quality time. And if my deep quality time is 15 minutes, that is quality time in meditation that can then inspire me, then let me do that, you know. I feel we also need to go, and I'm saying this because this is a lesson I have learned and I continue to learn. Sometimes you also have to also say, what journey of life am I in? So maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I could wake up at 4 o'clock or 4:30, you know, or sleep. I can't do that again, you know. I've now had to say, okay, let me recalibrate my life to say, what times of the day is even better for me to do that self-meditation in midday, you know, or in the evening. So we have to look around it and now say, okay, what works and what doesn't work? Because I feel that that attitude we take from a day to day and week to week is what we also apply to in the year. So it's never late in a year to set a goal, even if it's first week in December. You know what they say, when you wake up is your morning. When you wake up is your morning. Because sometimes you also have to be in the space for that thing. There's sometimes that I've set a goal, like I set in 2018, is in 2021 that goal was achieved. And for sometimes it's different reasons. I wasn't in the mind frame, or the goal was not meant to happen and all of that. So January is definitely not too late to start to set a goal. I don't know if you've done this in your group, but what I found 2 years ago to be very, and as we get older and we get busier and so many things are just blocking, the thing that worked for me in 2020 was sorry, I'm in my house and something is moving.
Something just buzzed beside me. Now that what's that on my phone? An alarm.
The thing that worked for me is a vision board, because I realized that I will start the year with like 1,000,001 things, and then, you know, it will just be hard. And then in 2020, I just said, let me just put a pictorial representation, you know, of what I want to see me. You know, I want to be happy. I want to have rest. So yeah, put a beach picture. My dad is 90 years old. You know, I want to be able to spend quality time with my dad, you know, so putting that. So I honestly would say that we have to say what kind of goal setting has worked for us. What kind of goal setting do we need? And when I did my vision board in 2020 in pandemic, I did it in July. Right? And I did that for my goal for that year, even though I was halfway through it. And I actually found that by the end of the year, what I was able to, because it was also very tangible. So again, going to smart goals, you know, because I realized, what are we also setting goals for? You know, sometimes for me, I need peace. I need rest of mind. I need to be in physical health, mental wellness. You know, there were things that I just realized. And that year and the year after was really very harrowing for quite a lot of us, where you just reprioritize and said, I need to be in life, in good health, you know, good relationships with people that matter to me. And that's what I represented and reflected. So even for those of us who are setting goals career-wise, I honestly would suggest doing a vision board of what that would look like. Because sometimes some of us don't even understand the goals. You know, you want to move something in a particular aspect of your life, but you can't even, we are saying smart goals, you can't even define it, right? But you can see what it looks like. It can be somebody that represents what that looks like for you. And say, okay, in this field of data analytics or whatever, this is the kind of thing, or maybe this is the logo of the kind of business that I work with. I know for me, what helps a lot. So there was a time in my life, I remember that I felt so much out of joy 2 years ago, so much out of joy 2 years ago. And on my vision board, I took a picture from when I felt was one of the happiest times in my life. And I said, yes, I know I'm not that person 10 or 15 or whatever years ago, but I'm going to put this picture to represent that I was happy before and I had deep joy, and I want to get back to it again. So our goals can be around personal things. It can be around emotional things. It can be around habits. It can be around relationships. It can be about ourselves. We just have to look to say, let's be flexible with the goal setting. One last thing that I will say on this is that, and now again, I'm only sharing my personal experience. I realized about 2-3 years ago, and this is still an ongoing journey for me, that my biggest challenge is myself. The person I am fighting against is myself. Sometimes you are sitting there, it's like, you know how you have those cartoons where you have like an angel and a devil.
The angel and the devil on one side telling you stuff.
I'm my biggest critic, and that I needed to be my biggest inspiration. That if Liz has a problem, she's talking to me, I will inspire Liz and all of that. But that same inspiration, I can't, I'll be beating myself down. So sometimes you also have to say, what is affecting me from achieving this goal? What role am I playing in helping that goal happen or not happen? And sometimes we have to do self-work and self-reflection, because if we don't do that, we'll set the goals, but we can't, because there's so many hurdles that we can't. So I know I've tried to sort of like really just rush through, because there's quite a lot more to unpack in that. But again, like I said, it's a work in progress. I've learned now on my daily to-dos to just be very clear, and even break it down. So that's the other thing. That's the last thing I will say. You can also break down your goal and say, okay, this goal, I want to achieve it by the end of the year. Let me break it down. So I started that with my days and say, okay, all this list I'm doing is not working. 8 to, and literally I'll put 5 to 5:30, wake up, do this, 5:30 to 6, I will put breakfast time there, because I started having issues with, when I was eating, or maybe eating too much or eating too little or whatever. And then even things like, I said I have an old dad, even calling my dad, because sometimes 2 weeks will pass, I'll not have called him, putting it there. I'm making sure that I can say in a day, breaking it down. The same thing in a year. For those of you who feel that you want to achieve something between February and December, you want to take a course, you want to change your job, sometimes they're very large things we want to do. Break it down. When you break it down, it becomes less scary. And then you say, okay, I want to get a new job. So between February and March, I'm going to review my CV, update my CV. So give me 2 to 3 weeks to be able to do that. March to April, I'm going to speak with somebody to give me perspectives of the places I want to work, all of that. April to June, start to apply, so break it down into less scary tasks that also show you that you're making progress. Because sometimes when you put that large goal, you feel you're not achieving it. But when you reflect, you're like, you've actually moved. You're moved from where you are before. And that also shows you that, there's a journey I'm making. So what are some of the milestones that would eventually land you to achieve that? So it's a one goal, but there are 10 steps that I need to do that. Break that 10 steps across the months, and then, reward yourself. Celebrate the progress you've made. And if you've not made, forgive yourself and say, okay, I wasn't able to do it, but I will start again.
Thank you so much. Actually, I agree with that, because I remember when we had Mrs. Marenka Ajayi on as well. She was, she's into career, she's a CEO of Career Nugget, and she was talking about different things like this as well. And one of the things I learned from her was the vision board. She even made me laugh when she said that, can we guess where she puts her vision board? And for the life of me, I thought maybe it would be on the fridge or in the kitchen or something. She said, no, in the toilet. That's where she gets her piece. So she looks at it, she actually puts picture on it. And I felt like, you know what, when you can picture it, you can actually achieve it. So by having and you've also said vision board again. So, it's not just about doing the planning or writing it down. Have a board that you can ping pictures. I did something
I think that, in fact, so I feel that people that are creative and can, like artists, I always say that I feel they're so closer to God. Because I feel that they can visualize things that you're thinking. How somebody draws something, like, how can you picture that? And let me tell you why. Because when you see something, it sticks in your head. And that was what my vision board did for me. So there are very little words. It's just to say, I'll give you an example. I felt that there was a space, our bedroom at the time, I felt my bedroom was just like all one. I hate living in a chaotic space. So I just looked for a nice picture on Pinterest to say, what is this picture of this space? They are just put it there. In fact, there was a time where I didn't look at that vision board for like 2 months, but that thing had said in my memory, right? And it gave me the feeling to say, okay, this is eventually what. So even when you're not actively thinking, it's somewhere in your subconscious. And that's what having that visual representation does for you. It's in your subconscious. And before you know, you're acting on it. I also think that there's a thing with God, right? When you start to, be inspired by something and be moved by something, things now start to work, consciously and unconsciously. around it with that. So yeah, please.
Oh, thank you so much. And like Tolu did with all of us at Precious Pair, she made us share our vision, each department. Not just that, she even put it into words. She even said, videos and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Once you put it not just into words, once you have a picture representative of it, it's easy to achieve as well. And then, like you said, we should celebrate every small wins. And even if we don't win, forgive yourself and move on. Life happens sometimes. It's how we react that
Yes.
matters. So do we stay down when we're kicked to the curb, or do we get up, dust ourselves up, and say, you know what, I'm ready to march on? So these are all beautiful nuggets. I'm scribbling so you can see my pen in my hand. Oh, so what kind of support do you think people need to seek if they're actually trying to actualize their goals? Apart from them, yeah, we have vision boards, we have smart plans, all done and set up. So what other things do you think they can do to help actualize their goals?
So I think first off is look for somebody who has achieved the goal, right? That you can also learn lessons from about their journey. And when I say look for someone, it doesn't have to be somebody that you know, right? It can be, when people mentoring, we have a very strong mentoring program. So I'll even speak to that and how that has left. So we have a mentoring program as part of a lot of our programs. So you're attached to somebody, you have maybe a challenge. So some people, maybe their challenge is that maybe I'm having challenges with building a team, or people are leaving, or I just really cannot be consistent in this entrepreneurship journey. So you have somebody who then helps you over a period to then achieve those goals, because that person is like your accountability partner. And so taking on that lesson, taking on that example, is say look for people that can help you with that. Some of us are in communities where we can get, when groups, whether religious groups, school groups, office groups, where you can actually get somebody that has gone through that journey and can provide guidance and support in that, right? So that's number one. Number two, you can also get somebody who you don't even know, you won't even have access to. It's somebody from afar. You read, watch, you learn from them and all of that. So let's not always look for people that are, that we feel around us. Yeah, so get somebody that's walked that journey and learn from them, learn how they did it, learn the challenges. Because sometimes you can even have a goal, but when you speak with someone, you're like, this goal is not for me, and move, and that's not a bad thing. I think the second thing is also having an accountability partner. So having somebody that also, who is not your mentor, and I'm trying not to use the word mentor, is not involved in providing inspiration for you. But what that person does is say, oh yeah, what are the things you want to do? Every month I'm going to ask you, I'm the person you'll be accountable to for this. I think number three, which probably should be number one, is you have to ask yourself, why do I even want to achieve this goal? Is it that ego goal? The why. What's the why? Why is this goal important to me? Because when you sort of drill down on that why, it either further enhances or motivates you to doing that, or it even helps you on the sort of the approaches on how you can go about doing that. So really understanding the why, should be the first thing. Second thing is getting somebody who has worked on that journey and can provide perspectives on the pros and cons. Number three is having an accountability partner. Number four, depending on whether this is an entrepreneurship goal, career goal, personal goal, is also invest in learning. So sometimes it is, and we've used different examples. Sometimes it can be a personal goal, like I want to sleep more, right? And I want to use some of these examples because sometimes we think, it's a major, it has to be a career goal. No, it can be, I'm not sleeping enough. I want to sleep 9 hours or whatever in a day. Go online, and say, okay, how do I do that? So really invest in learning about that gap, how to achieve that, because somebody somewhere has made that also go before and has provided some guidelines to do that. So invest in the learning. Sometimes you even have to, if you have a career goal, for instance, you want to move from one level to the other into another industry, you would have to maybe invest in getting a certification, pay for the training and all of that. So what's the knowledge gap that you can get for free and or at a cost to be able to do that? And then, like we said, then also put milestones to then achieving those goals. Make sure that you break it down into activities and tasks that you can then help with your progress.
Thank you so much for that. I've got a question which I felt someone actually put in, but I think that you've already answered me what you said. The person said, how can you achieve a SMART goal if you're someone that procrastinates a lot? And you've already mentioned some of the steps.
Yeah. On the procrastination, I also can procrastinate. In fact, sometimes, and I don't know, maybe it's also failed me because at some point I also say, let me calm down, because sometimes there's some things I have to do and then I won't do them. But guess what? Oh, if I now have to deliver that thing in the last hour, I would. So I may have pushed on doing this thing that I should have spread out in 3 weeks. But when I do it, I always feel that I will still do it well. So I think the first question is, ask yourself, why are you procrastinating? Is it that you don't enjoy this thing? Do you understand? So is it that you really don't enjoy it? Or sometimes I procrastinate things I'm scared of. Do you understand? So I'm supposed to work on something that really would be a game changer, but I'm really scared of the potential. I'm scared of my ability. You know, sometimes it can even be self-destructive where you don't do the thing you're supposed to do because you're too scared of it. You're like, well, let me just fail at it. So asking yourself what you procrastinate on and why do you procrastinate on it? And all of that. I feel that giving your space to also break those tasks down, again, in goals, is also helpful, because sometimes, again, we keep saying, oh, things can be overwhelming, breaking them down and having somebody that you're accountable to. But I also think that there's a point you also have to say, is this procrastination life-threatening, right? Am I moving things that really will be very detrimental to my mental health, mind, and all of that? Sometimes procrastination is also an indicator sometimes of like you're in a mentally dark place, you know, you're languishing. You can't just summon the energy, the mental energy to be able to do that. So perhaps also seek some counseling, you know, is also something that you can also think and consider too.
Well, thank you so much. This is so insightful. You know, when we started this, we said as soon as we start having this conversation, that before you know it, an hour will be up.
Yeah.
And that's how it is now. I still got a lot of questions. I got like a A4 page full of questions, but I'm just gonna. Well, you've covered most of it. You know, the conversations you've had. So for people in diaspora, for example, and they want to come to Nigeria to set up a business, do you think your hub can provide them because one of the things I actually noticed, like you said your fate is in about 20 states, and you find that each state is dynamic in the way the business runs. So for someone coming from the diaspora, for example, and they've not been in the culture for a while, things move, things change, would they benefit from actually contacting Fate to actually try and set up their business in Nigeria?
Yes. So before I answer that question, I would say, first of all, if you're setting a business anywhere, so is this for people that are relocating, or they want to
they might want to start, you know, for example, some people are not thinking of relocating straight away. They're thinking of, you know, when I retire, do I want to stay in the UK? Do I want to stay in the US, or do I want to go back to Nigeria? And they're thinking,
yes,
shall I start setting something up now that, you know, when I finally decide to leave, I've got something on ground?
So before even saying, oh, fate or no fate or whatever, what I want to suggest first is that, particularly because there are a few things at play here. You're not based here. So this can even be Nigeria, it can even be anywhere. You're not based in that place. You're trying to do something that there are control limitations that you would have. And then if you now bring it specific to Nigeria, there are certain environmental dynamics. So Nigeria, I think, is now the most entrepreneurial that we've ever had. If I look through the history of Fate, it's the most entrepreneurial. And then one of the pros of that is that there's so much opportunities now. I know people always argue, but I say every year we do a compendium of the different opportunities, financing, resources, support, more than ever. There are much more funds available. There's so many things. I'm sure you get on WhatsApp, apply for this. Particularly if you're a woman in business, all of that. So there's so many much more. There's quite a lot of opportunities for support, investment, and everything. My first advice would be really, really do your research, right? What kind of business do you want to run? Is this a business that you can run part-time? If it is a business that you can run part-time, what are the other moving parts that you need to sort out locally to be able to do that? Is it supply issues? So are you making products where you're going to be sourcing? One of the easiest examples people always give is like farming or agribusiness, right? So you say, okay, maybe my father, a lot of people, they just remember my father, my mother, we have this family property or this house, we never really did. Let's go and start to farm and everything. You start to say, what are the moving parts? I need people, I need to develop, I need farm hands, I need to be able to have control, right? To make sure that things are not stolen and all of that. So understand the moving parts that you do not have control or you have limited control over, but you need to secure here before you can really do that, and do all you can to secure it very well. Because there are things around trust and integrity. Sometimes you hear stories of somebody that has sent money home and then to build a house, and then the house is never built and all of that. But I can also tell you that I know a lot of cases where I have aunties or uncles who sent money home and their houses were built. What was the thing? You could get somebody who was reliable, but you also had the constant checks and balance on that person too. So same thing with you are starting the business. So if it's something part-time, what are the different moving parts and what can you control? What can't you control? And then how do you invest in that? And then even doing like a proper business plan in the understanding of sort of like the variances that run with Nigeria, the kind of Nigerian market. Because yes, we can be a highly distrustful environment, but honestly, sometimes, a lot of times, I can tell you that they're very well-meaning and strong people with integrity who are also here too. So who are the partners you can have? And then do you need to start this business fully on your own? Why do you want to look at somebody who is in that similar space and say, okay, let me invest maybe money or time virtually, So think and say, do I have to start this thing on myself? Can I look for somebody else who has started this thing and is there on the ground and partner with them? Partner with them, maybe they will be doing the on-the-ground work. I'll be sourcing for things, or maybe I'll invest money or whatever. But again, when you enter that kind of partnership, you have to be clear. What is each person bringing to the table? How do you share risk? How do you share rewards? And all of those things. So those are some of the initial things, because I feel that people just rush into this and they really don't think through all these different building blocks and moving parts. If it's something that you want to eventually then come back to settle down, I think you also, again, SMART goals, you ought to be able to say, what are the indicators that will then show me that this is a business that's worthy of me moving back? What do I need to see? What are the kind of traction I need to be able to make to show that? And then if you're definitely moving back home, of course, for any of our many, many different programs, there's so many different categories. We will definitely be, because for us is that we want you to be resident in Nigeria and build a business in Nigeria. So we don't want to support you to build a business in Ghana, in the UK, all of that. But residency in Nigeria and making that business being domiciled in Nigeria, definitely yes.
This is a very important piece that you brought to the table. Thank you so much for that, because there's so many people who are thinking along the lines of, yes, I'm working now. When I'm retiring, I want to put in some money together, and I just want to take that money and start something on my own in Nigeria without actually thinking through all those things that you're talking about, the moving parts and all of that. So we have cases of people just rushing into it, losing all that money and rushing back. And a lot of people, it's their retirement funds or all pots that's gone without proper, research. So thank you for that. Very, very good information.
And honestly, for people abroad, I'll say have like two or three different options that you work with, right? To say, okay, let me do this part-time. Second one can be, let me look for somebody again, I know that we can be low trust sometimes, but you just never know. So, because sometimes, again, is that, do I really want to start this fully? But in looking for somebody, do your due diligence, define, have a contract, be very clear about what are you bringing, what am I bringing to the table. There's quite a lot of advantage that you in the diaspora also have, So that person may be on, you may be working with somebody who is on ground, running the business, all of that, but you have access to an external market. You have access to sometimes products and inputs and all of that. Your investment also goes a long way. $10 2 years ago is more than in Naira is significantly more than that. So, but really test run that process and be very clear, like, what are the things I need to see to say this is a viable business? Because you have to put your head in the water, foot in the water and test it. But then now say, okay, let me give the space for testing. Do not be in a hurry. Do not, if it's not a matter of survival, do not be in a hurry, right? And just say, okay, let me just give my time to understand the space, understand this business, but understand the business as it relates to Nigeria. Speak with other people who are running businesses or have like understanding of the space. Really, really do your due diligence, and then I'll say, okay, do I start part-time? If I start part-time, what will then show me in 6 months that this needs to continue? By 112, what are the indicators that I need to see that will say continue, stop, or slow down?
Yeah, and as you should for any business, anyway, do that due diligence, very important. And I remember you said about being a thought leader in your field. Know every, because I used to train and do some build mentoring, and I remember I used to say that a lot. Like, just know everything about that
particular business you're involved in.
Everything, exactly.
Wow, thank you so much for coming on to share with us today. And it's been amazing having you on. And I'm sure everyone that's listening to this now, or those that will watch the replay, will take 1 or 2 nuggets from this, and it will help them as well plan their lives. So some of the things I've learned from you, and some of the things I think people will learn. I think we've got Tosin in the comment chat helping us type up all these different things, calling it out, especially the key ones, so it's not lost in when people are listening, it's not lost in translation, kind of. So she talked about the top leader. She talked about sit down, prioritize, especially on the Sunday, the week, prioritize your week. Like you said, 8 to 9, what you doing at that time and stuff like that. We got diaries actually that have that each day. They have time that you can actually slot in things you're doing. It's like you would do with your Outlook when you put slots in your calendar, stuff like that. You have a vision board, define the goals. And then, like you said, so why are you doing this? Why? If you don't know your why, if today you decided that I want to be a model and someone comes tomorrow and say, oh, you can be a DJ, because you don't know the why, you will follow, you go and be a DJ the next day. And then someone comes the next day and say, you know what, you can be a fashion designer. And he goes, yeah, I'll do that. That's where the money is. So I know that from a fact, I know that a lot of people, especially in the African background in the UK, a lot of people tend to be in the IT space. They just go for it. That's where the money is. But what sustains people is the passion. And like before we went live, I was telling you about how month end, 2 weeks, whatever you tell me, even Tolu knows month end not to call me, but it's the why, the joy I derive from doing that sustained me. So like you said, if you don't know the why, you will just do whatever you find, wherever anyone or wherever you think is trending. So yeah, I've put all of those down. So thank you so much for actually coming on today to share with us. And we really appreciate this. We don't take it for granted, because you've shared so many nuggets with us. And then the hub as well, I think Tolu's put that in the comment section, resources that you can read for free. They're there, just read up. And then if you're planning to go to Nigeria as well, you live in the diaspora and you want to set up business, you heard from her, the steps to take, so you don't, at the end of the day, feel like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or why did I do that, Thank you so much. And Tolu, I'll pass, the honors to thank our guests for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just like Liz has already said, we can't thank you enough. I have one more question though. If someone has been listening and they're in Nigeria and they, they meet all the criteria sort of, and they want to be a part of that foundation or any of the programs, how do they get in? They get their foot in? Is it through that MSME hub, or is that just for information? How do they connect?
So thank you for that. To connect, so the MSME Hub I sent, it's a virtual resource platform
Okay.
with tools, with templates, with videos and all of that. But I would recommend that they go to www.faithfoundation.org. I've sent that in the chat box and I'm sure you relate it. For those who are looking to learn about starting a business, please click on Faith School. You see the Faith School. And then under that, you see like Start, Grow, Scale. We have quite a lot of programs that we do. So look at the different programs. And then there's some that are always there. There's some that we're going to be opening. So some closed last year and we're going to be opening again. And of course, follow us at Faith Foundation on our different on all the different social media platforms. We're at Faith Foundation. So that's honestly what I would suggest, because there's not a one size fits all. It depends on your stage, depends on your sector, it depends on your state, it depends on where you are. We usually have a broad range for different things for different people. Thank you for asking.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The time has been so short to unpack so many things, and we don't want you to go. I'm having so much fun here, but then we have to go. We spent almost one hour.
I want to really just say thank you again. It's been a great conversation and an intentional conversation, I also have to say. Thank you for using your platforms to also share knowledge and access. Sometimes talking about these things, me too, I'm also also learning, and I keep saying that sometimes when I talk about these things, it's also it's also a learning process, because it allows me to self-reflect on what I do, and I really am honored. I honestly do not take it for granted, because I really don't know you guys, and you reached out to me, and I'm very honored and truly grateful. So thanks, Liz and Tolu, for being amazing hosts. Thank you, Tose. She's
on there. She's listening.
She's listening. She's listening.
Yeah, she was
1997. Oh, so
wow.
yeah.
Wow, that was a good connect. She connected you to us.
And just a last words. It's a tough time. It honestly is wherever you are in the world, and sometimes I say, is it just growing up and being an adult and then you're just at work? Because it just seems like sometimes a lot of doom and gloom. So you have to give yourself space, be good to yourself, be fair to yourself, just be patient, I honestly realized that at some point I was like, okay, you're just so hard on yourself. The things you would not encourage. I'm like, you have to encourage yourself, So please understand that there's so many things going on in the world, and that you as an human being are also experiencing all of that thing. So allow yourself time. Take time to restore your soul and your spirit, religiously, spiritually, but also mentally. Take time to restore, because a mind that is overwhelmed and feels like it's in a cloud, you can't process, you can't see the light. Everything you would always be seeing would always be the issues and the challenges that are happening with that. Surround yourselves with things that inspire you, that excite you. It can be a potted plant, it can be a nice painting, anything. It can be rearranging your room. What is your happy? What are and I say these things are the little joys of life, that give you life. For me, it was just saying I had to be opposite a window and see light and air, and all of that. So just say, what are the things that, can inspire you? Sometimes it's songs. So a lot of us is also songs, that you can do that, but just things that restore your spirit, restore my soul, you remember, it leads me to the valley of still waters, it leads me to the still waters and restores my soul.
My soul, yeah.
Still waters, not storms,
Turbulent waters there.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of times we have to sort of just step back and just be like at peace and be still and get that restoration, because it is in that you get growth. You know, there's a reason why when you're, I also do plants. I do a lot of plants. So when you prune plants, sometimes there was a small bush that I hacked the other day because there was some virus that came on it. And it now just looked very scraggly with branches. But now it's blooming again with flowers, with leaves, and all of that. So also understand that sometimes it's also a growth process, you know. Sometimes you go through very challenging times, but it's to come out at the end of the day. So I really just want to commend everybody doing everything really just to strive in their career, setting up a business and all of that. And just to say, just keep at it, just keep at it. Be fair to yourself, restore yourself, replenish yourself, you know, and it will be a good year. And March is not too late to do a goal.
Yes,
please.
yes, amazing.
Don't let anybody tension you, please. When you're posting things all over, I'm like, no, don't tension. Sometimes some of us even need to take a break from social media. So I realized the best thing that I've done in the last 6 months was to remove. So right now on my phone, there's no Instagram, there's no Facebook, there's no Twitter. It's on my laptop or iPad that I go and check on it. So sometimes even just taking yourself away from all the craziness in the world.
Stepping back.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
See why we want
you to go. You're like our big auntie giving us all the advice. And again, I have to say, although we didn't know you and we just met you, you're not a part of our family, because anyone that comes on here becomes a part of our family. And, you know, we keep inviting you for things or like partnering with you. And that's how we grow. We always say one person at a time, and we grow one person at a time. And God has been faithful. I absolutely love how we're ending, you know, on a spiritual tone. You know, with everything that we're doing, we should always have at the back of our mind that God first. We are a Christian charity, even though we're all about inspiring people and helping people to grow business, career, and, you know, personally. We're doing it because we're Christians, we love God, and we've been given the mandate to empower our world one person at a time. So that's why we keep doing this, and that's our why, that's our passion. And what you said, we're just going to leave the scripture. I've not done this, I don't think, in a while, but I'll just leave the scripture that I left on my Facebook page, John 14:27. I'm leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. It's going to be an amazing year. It's going to be awesome. I know that the prophecies has gone out, there'll be this, there'll be that, but just be focused, right? And everything Adenike has said, the picture of success is going to be an awesome year. And so we're going to have you back again soon, hopefully, and have some more interesting conversations. Thank you, everyone, and God bless. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.